Hey guys, so today I'm going to be talking about an adventure I had when I was 19 in South America. I was really dumb, I was really naive, and I ended up being stuck in the mountains on my own in Machu Picchu, and I stayed in this mountain man's bed. So this is the story of how it all happened. So, I recently just finished getting off the bus from Lima. I was hanging around with this girl called Carmen for a few days. She was really cool. She was from San Francisco. I met her like the second day I was there in Lima. I think I probably came off a bit too much when I first met her because I'm always like really full on when I go traveling, and I was like, "Hi, let's hang out," blah blah blah, and then it was a bit like, "What?" But we hung out for a few days, and she was really nice. And then I said bye to her when I got to Cusco. When we were actually walking through the mountain, driving through the mountains on the coach actually crashed at night, right under our seats. I mean, we woke up and literally like it was like, whoa, what's going on? And it scraped the side of this cliff. And then when we got to Lima the next day, we looked at the side of the bus and it had this like massive like gash ripped out of it. It was quite funny actually. And then so yeah, I get to this hostel and my friend Carmen was the one that told me about to do this. She says, "Oh, apparently, if you want, you can walk instead of get the train because in South America there's this train to Machu Picchu that everyone gets, but apparently you can walk across the mountains, and I think you can. I was just an idiot. You get like this beautiful walk, and then you go through loads of like villages, and you see beautiful sights. And like when I go traveling, I always listen to a lot of people, just because everyone has something to say. You can pass on advice, or it's just nice. Nice thing about traveling is you get to know people, and like even if a person has such an ordinary life, they have so many things to say, so many things that you can learn from. And so every time I get a piece of advice or I get told to do something that sounds like it's worthwhile, I usually try my best to go and do it. So I hung out in Cusco a few days. At the time, my mental health wasn't very good. I was really depressed over this girl. I was on my own. Like I didn't have any family. I was living in my friend's bedroom on a futon before I left. So I had all these like inner problems going on, and so at the time I wasn't really thinking too much about the trip. I was so focused on my like how I felt in myself. So that was probably one of the reasons why I wasn't really thinking about what was going on in the present because my mind was elsewhere, which is pretty stupid. But I guess you have to learn these things to realize how nice some things are in the future. So I hung around in Cusco for I think a day or something. They have like a interesting market. If you ever go to a market in like South America or anywhere like in North Africa or in various other places in the world, there's like they're very graphic. You'll literally see like half a cow's head on a table. You'll see hooves, organs, all sorts of grim stuff. It's not very nice. Guess it's a bit more honest than the way the Western world slaughters animals. But yeah, it's pretty grim. So I went to a few. There's like a famous one in Cusco or something like that I went to. I hung out with a few people in the hostel. It was pretty cool. Um, and yeah, it was just I was kind of just actually a lot of shit happened when I was in Cusco, but that's a different story. But yeah, so yeah, I hung out with a few people there. Met this girl, this Argentinian girl. She was really nice. Hung out with her and some of her friends, and just talked to people. And yeah, ended up trying some South American weed there, which was pretty different. But yeah, it was nice. And they have this chocolate there called Sublime. It's like when I ate chocolate, it was like the nicest chocolate you've ever had. It's like, but they don't have it here in England. But if you ever go to South America, you should definitely try some Sublime. It's pretty nice. Um, and yeah, and so I'll just skip to the day. So I find out how you get to this town. I think it's called Olium Tambo, or I've said it wrong, but it's called like Olium Tambo or some like weird name that I can't pronounce. And I basically I didn't like think how long it might take to get there. heard that it might have been like literally 30 minutes to get there. So I go to the buses at 7. I get a bus, or I think for some reason it might have taken longer for me to get a bus, but I literally get a bus, get there, but so for some reason by the time I've got there, it's like 1, and I have like a sandwich. I chill out a bit, and then it's like half the day's gone. And so, but I'm like, no, don't worry, I can make it. And plus, like, I am sort of thinking at this point, maybe um, it will be some sort of accident happen, like I might get stuck, or I might have to walk at night somewhere that I don't really want to walk through. But I didn't like. I thought it would just work out, and I guess it did, but it was still stupid. Um, so yeah, so I literally just stopped making this because I watched it back and I was realizing how many times I was saying, this is like my first. Did I just do it then? This is my first YouTube video, so there might be things like that happening. So sorry if that was bothering you, because that was pissing me off when I was watching it. So this is where it really gets started. I go down to the main train station and I see that there's no way to actually get on the platform because there's barriers and guards. So I start walking around the town trying to find another way to get onto the railway lines. I walk around the town, following the road, and I see a pathway, and then I follow that down because I get a feeling I should go down there. And as it goes down, I eventually get to the railway line on a different platform, about like half a mile forward from the main train station. And then I keep on walking down it, and then it starts. And it's like the most beautiful, like one of the most like unrealistic things that I've looked at in my life. It was just more. I mean, there are way like more beautiful places in the world. This was pretty beautiful, but like if you're gonna go for somewhere really beautiful, this was quite beautiful. But I'm in the middle of the mountains in South America. I'm on my own. I'm 19. I'm not really thinking about consequences. I mean, I still wouldn't now at 24, but I would think about it more, and I'd think about what might happen. Maybe I'd probably just plan it more. So I keep on walking down, and I've got my everything on. I've got my backpack, got my little invaders bag. I'm quite in a vulnerable situation, and I keep walking. I keep walking down. I'm thinking about everything. I'm thinking about this girl I'm obsessed with. I'm thinking about my music. I'm thinking about my future. And a lot of the time, the train line has like banks each side, and the railway track goes through the middle. So there was a lot of that. Then there was loads of like clearings, and there was loads of like, trees and small streams. That's really nice when you eventually get there. So that was always really cool to see. And so as I'm walking down, I eventually get to this one clearing that was amazing. It was like this big sort of rock face, and you can see so many mountains around. You can see the valley, the trees. And I just literally had to sit there for like half an hour, just like, oh my god, it was so good. So I just came back from my haircut, and I've noticed my phone has decided to delete some of this story. So a bit frustrating. I think my storage is playing up because I've never done a vlog before. So vlog. I always call them vlogs. I don't know why. Um, After the clearing, I basically carry on walking like normal, and I come across this man, and I'm trying to light my cigarette because my lighter's broke. And I ask him, do you have anything I can light this with? And he's like, yeah, sure. And he spends 25 minutes trying to light my cigarette for me. I felt so bad. I tried to tell him, no, please, you can carry on going. It really doesn't matter. And he was like, no, no, no. And he spent that long. I mean, in England, no one would give you that amount of time of day unless they're like being really nice. But he thought nothing of it. Like just seeing someone and giving them that amount of time was just a regular thing. I think people's values when you're, I think, in a just a peaceful mountain place like that are completely different, and it's really nice to see people just appreciate such everyday things and really just sort of feel full in them. Because like with me, like I'm such a sucker for things like that. I have to do something really big to feel complete or something like that. But a lot of people from places that are quite secluded, you know, they really see the beauty in those sorts of things. They haven't been infected so badly with stuff. So yeah, so and he was really nice. I speak to his son. His son was asking me where I was from and stuff, and then he just goes about his day. Now we get to a big problem. I'm as I've carried on walking, I've been following the river, and it's got to a bit where there's a bridge, and this bridge is you can't cross it. It has signs saying don't cross, and it's like death signs, and you will fall to your death if you mess this up. It's like planks, and it's like a meter in between each plank, and if you fall, you're gonna fall to your death. And there's a train going across. So I was kind of thinking maybe there's only a train like every hour. One literally just went past, and I could if I was really careful, I could probably do it. But I was like, no, there's no way. Like, I wasn't actually legit thinking that, but that was a temptation because I didn't really know how I was going to get across, and I didn't really want to turn back. So I go down to the river. I climb down the bank to the river, and there's the main river on my left, and there's like a small river or quite a rapid stream that goes into it, and there's stepping stones. So I think I can probably just jump on each stone and get across. But then I realized I couldn't, and I had everything on my backpack and everything. So I'm like jumping across these stepping stones. Some are really slippy, so it's getting a bit scary. And then I end up getting knee deep in this small river, and the rapids are there's quite strong current, and it's like I'm having to use all my strength, or like I'm gonna if I get washed away and it pushes me down to that river, like I'm dead. So it was quite scary, and I keep on I'm really like using all my strength to get away, and then I realized I can't really make it to the end of it. So what I do is I instead of walking up it, which I would have to, I just go to the other bank and climb up, literally like Gollum. Like I'm just like clawing up, and I'm like pulling like weeds out, and all the roots coming out. I'm like fuck, and then I like literally use all my strength and literally just get to the top, and that was really really scary. I make it to the top, and I feel so relieved, and it's my whole body is aching now from all that strength I had to use. And then I see this bus go past. It's like South American buses will just stop for you in the road. They don't have like bus stops or anything like that. Well, they do in the towns, but they'll just stop for you on the road. And he says Olium Tamba, and I was like half tempted to say yes, but I was like no, I'm gonna carry on going. So I carry on going. The bus goes, and I was like, oh, maybe I should have said that. I said yes, and then I come to my first like proper sort of village. I've been for a few like small towns and like, not small towns, but like a few places with a couple of houses, but nothing like a proper village yet. And as soon as I get there, I see this man walking past with two cows, and he smiles and waves. And I smile, wave back. It's really nice. And then they have like an astroturf there. Like Mountain Village has got this like massive like modern astroturf, and the whole village loves it. They're like the whole village is just out there chilling by this football astroturf. And then there's loads of kids. And then as I'm coming to the end of the village, like a load of 16-year-old like guys all come up to me. There's quite a few of them, and one of them, they keep like they're walking and talking with me, but because they're like if you've ever been to a place that's quite secluded and you see a Westerner, like everyone always asks you so many stuff. So they're all talking to me, but then one of the guys is like walking around me as well, and I'm that was a bit provoking. But they do nothing. Everything's good. We just have a nice conversation, and then we say bye. After I have that weird encounter, I carry on walking through the village, and yeah, it's starting to get dark now, like dark, and I eventually get to the end of the village where there's what looks to be a train station, but it's not like a public one. It's more just for loading goods. People don't really get off there, and I see a sign, like a map, and I see where I came from, Olium Tambo, however you say it, and then I see Aguas Calientes, and I'm only a third of the way, and I've been walking for like, make it guess, 6, 7 hours, so it's not good. But then I'm like, what do I do? I mean, I can't. I could try and get back. Or I was like, nah, fuck it. Like, I mean, I can do this. I can walk through this. And so I thought, oh, it's gonna be well cool, you know, like out of a movie or something, walking through the Sacred Valley, which is what it's called at night. And so I attempt to do that, and I carry on walking down. Um, And yeah, I keep on walking, and then as I'm walking, this car drives past with a load of like travelers, and then they were looking at me like, "What's this guy doing?" And I was like, I was kind of maybe I should have said, "Hey man, maybe I should get a lift into Aguas Calientes or wherever you're going, because it's probably might come with shelter or something." And then yeah, I keep on walking, and it's got dark now. It's like pitch black, and like the train's coming past me, and I'm like at the side of the mound, and it's like nearly hitting me, and this really scary. And I keep on walking, and then about half an hour after that, I put my foot down, and I hear rustling all around my foot, and then I walk past this other bit, and I see these old Inca caves. The Incas are like the people who used to live around there, that used to live in Machu Picchu, like years and years and years and years ago. And I see it, and I'm kind of tempted to go into this cave and look inside, but then I'm like, nah, fuck it. And then at this point, I'm like, no, I'm going back. I'm going back. So I walked back like an hour to the town I was in, and then when I get to this town, I am like, fuck. I'm just sitting there like a dickhead. And then eventually, this man comes past, and I go up to him and speak to him, and I try and say my current situation, and he kind of understands, and he's like, "You shouldn't have done that," or he kind of gives me the shake, and he sees this other guy go past on a motorcycle, and he goes and speaks to this guy and points at me, and then the guy that on the motorcycle goes, "Come here, come here, come here," and he speaks a bit of English, and he calls one of his mates, and one of his mates is like one of the locals. He introduces me to this man who runs a shop in the village, and he knows everyone in the village, like everyone knows this guy, and he takes me to his shop, and literally he just has Coke and breadsticks in it. I don't know why, but that was all that was there. So I buy all this Coke and breadsticks, and I start eating them. I give him some breadsticks, and he's really grateful for it. And then he takes me round to his house, and he makes me this like home made coffee, and it's amazing. And then he starts dipping breadsticks in it and eating them. I've never seen people do that before, but I tried it. It wasn't so bad. But now, like every time I have like a bagel or something, I'll always dip it in coffee because he showed me how to do that, and it was good. And then we go into this other room, and I get there, and there's these like two Peruvian women. One of them's like 60, one of them looks like 30, 40, and they're both like really creepy. Well, one of them is it's like when I went in, this woman was like, "Oh, wapa wapa," and I'm like, "What? What did I even know what that meant?" And then she keeps looking at. Okay, so I'm in there hanging out with them. It's really cool. Obviously, the woman isn't, but everything else is great. They had this TV on with all this Peruvian music, and yeah, it's quite. I've never heard this sort of music before. It's like really traditional, um, and yeah, I'm sitting there. We're drinking wine. They gave me free wine. They asked me loads of questions. I'm asking them loads of questions. The woman who's like 30, 40 tells me she went to England once and really liked it there, so that was cool. And then about an hour and a half passed of just hanging out. Loads of people like word had obviously got round like in the village that there was this like English guy in this man's house. I don't even know his name. It's pretty bad. He never even told me his name. And then loads of people keep coming and like poking their head round the door and looking at me. Some again, some of them look at me quite provokingly. I'm asking the guy like, "What's going on?" And he just like gives me like a slap on the arm, like a, and then he's like sort of smiles, and that's all he said about it. So after about an hour of that, I was getting a bit like, okay, it's about I think like 3, 4 in the morning or something like that now. So I was like, okay, can I go to sleep? He takes me to his house, and he opens the door, and there's all these guinea pigs running around. It's really weird. It's so cool, and it's not very big at all. It's just got like a bed on the right, and it's got a little sort of rectangle square thing in the back where he has his kitchen, and that's literally it. And he goes there to bed, so I take off my bag and everything like that, and I go to sleep, and then he leaves and goes back to his two friends, and they're like peer pressuring him. They kept saying, have another drink," and he really didn't want to, but he goes back with them. And then I fall asleep. About an hour later, he comes back, and it wakes me up. And then I put some change I had in my pocket on the side. He picks it up and puts that in his pocket. He must have thought it was like some sort of tip or something, which is fair enough. It didn't really bother me. So he put that in his pocket, and then Everything's all good, but I'm sort of wondering what's going to happen now. And then his two knees go on the bed. I'm like, what? His two knees go on the bed I'm sleeping on, and then he crawls over me, and I'm just like, what's going on? What's going on? And he lies back and goes, I'm like, what the fuck do I do? And then literally nothing happens. He just goes to sleep. And so I was like, phew. But he was literally just letting me share his bed with him. That was it. It was nothing weird. It was nothing sexual. He was just had one bed in his house, and he was kind enough to let me sleep in it with him, which was really nice. But I didn't go back to sleep until he left. And then literally he only sleeps like 2 hours or something crazy, and he gets up at sunlight and then goes to do whatever he does. He might have been a farmer or something, and then I get like another hour of sleep, and then I wake up and leave, and I leave like a bit of money under the pillow for his kindness, but I never even got to say goodbye. I wish I could tell him, thank him for his kindness, and um, all that sort of stuff. But I never did. So I just take my stuff. I get the village bus back to the town, Olium Tambo, and try to go and catch the train. And then another really cool thing happens on there, but that's for the next vlog. So that is my story of how I got stranded. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Like and subscribe.